guys. Second, let me turn off my inverter. It has a fan and makes a sound. You can probably hear it right now. Okay, turned it off. So I'm spending a little time in Sedona, and I have to say I'm really enjoying myself. In March, temperatures are pretty fantastic. It's like in the 70s during the day, maybe lower 80s at most. And at night it doesn't get too cold, like 44 degrees, something like that. So I've been enjoying the scenery around here, doing a little hiking, checking out the vortexes, and baking bread. I don't know what it is, but there's something that gets me at certain times. Like I just want to figure out something. And I wouldn't say that I'm obsessed about it, but obsessed is not the wrong word to use. And so I was thinking, I have this device called the Max Burton Digital Stove to Go. And no, I'm not sponsored, but I happen to like the product quite a bit. And what it is kind of this self-contained stove with a digital readout. And you can use it as a slow cooker. You can heat things up to 350 degrees. And supposedly you could even use it as an oven. And so that last part kind of got me. I was wondering if it would be possible to bake bread. And then I started doing a little research, and what I found was that there is a kind of a quick artisan bread recipe. And it didn't take that many ingredients. I think it was like 4 ingredients. So flour, salt, yeast, and water. So my goal was, can I, 1, do a decent loaf of bread? And 2, how can I make it as easy as possible to get a decent piece of bread? And what I found was that 1, mix all the dry ingredients together, add the water, mix it together, and then just let it sit. It gets more liquidy. The yeast works with the sugars in the flour. And I forget the term for it because I'm not a baker. But anyway, the process occurs, and then you fold it under with some extra flour. But since I'm using flour that's built for bread machines, it's also a no-knead recipe. So you kind of fold it under a few times, form it into a ball, and then you're done. You don't have to do extensive kneading for it. You let it rise a second time, and then you bake it. So this video is about that process that it took me to get a decent piece of bread. Okay, so I just mixed it together with my spoon, my spork. I'm just using the sharp end, really. It gets into this sort of rough, rough mixture. You just want to roughly mixture it because really the yeast will take care of the main bulk of the work. So I forget the term for it. Like I'm not really a baker, so I don't know all the terms. But the first stage is that it will get bubbly and wet, and that's the work of the yeast on the sugars in the flour, and along with the water, the warm water. And it makes it so that I only have to wait for 2 hours, not 3. And then we'll go to the next stage. Okay, now it's in a ball, and I'm going to preheat the stove for the next 30 minutes, and by that time this should be ready to bake. So there's the loaf I made. Yeah, the crust isn't as dark as I would like, but I think with the stove it gets as high as 350, and you know, it's kind of a contact heat. I'm not sure if I could get real crusty bread or not. And this was in there for an hour. It's done, and it tastes fine. It's just not as brown as I would have liked. But for a variety, I might try, I don't know, maybe sesame seeds, something to make it look more interesting. But it works great. It's a good piece of bread. Okay, so there you go. That's my bread making video. I showed that it's possible, and actually it's really great. It makes a really great piece of bread. I've made I don't know, like 3 or 4 loaves so far, and you could probably bump it up to, you know, 3 cups of flour. So experiment with it. I'm going to experiment with increasing the amount just to get a bigger loaf of bread. But for my use, you know, it doesn't take too much time or effort to make it. So making a fresh loaf every, I don't know, 3 days is not that big of a hassle. But I just might experiment with an extra cup of flour just to see if it's possible. But yeah, road bread, pickup truck bread. There you go. If you're on the road and you have a Max Burton digital stove to go, well, give it a shot. I think I might branch out and try some other things, some other baked things like cornbread or something like that. That will actually probably be easier since it uses baking powder instead of yeast. So until next time. Let me know how your experiments go. This is a very basic recipe, and I will include some other recipes that I've done if this is of interest to the audience. So please like, comment, and subscribe below. It helps with the visibility of the page and lets other people get to see this content. And I'll see you on the road.